recording. It's beginning to look a lot like
Lawless.
Christmas.
Oh, dang! I
Oh,
thought you were about
dang.
to say lawless. That would have
We
been
can do,
perfect,
let's do it
man.
again.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. It's beginning to look a lot like Lawless. Man,
Sorry, man. I
welcome.
was slow on the draw there. That's my bad.
No, it's
That'll be the
good.
last time. That'll be the last thing I mess up today. I promise.
Yes. Yeah, I guarantee he's on a perfection contract after this. Well, boys and girls, looks like Santa checked his list, and you must have been on the section you were on to deserve this episode of Lawless Podcast with Justin and Clayton. As always, I'm Clayton. This is my buddy Justin. Y'all, you must have,
Oh, oh.
you must have been extra special because you're getting us. Before
Not
we
only
go,
us.
oh,
Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. I was gonna
Oh,
say not only us, but dang, this is going to be a cool episode. I'm so
it's
excited about it.
it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a
This
good one.
what you got right now might say you and I are the stocking stuffers to the episode,
Mm,
which there we got a big present. You got a big
big,
present coming up in about
big old
20
present.
about 23 minutes.
It's somebody's birthday, Jesus, and
So
he's
just
get,
somebody.
not just somebody, Jesus, and he's getting an extra special gift. Feliz Navidad, my man.
Hit them with the socials and what we need people to do.
Absolutely. We are on all your socials. Primarily, I think we operate in the metaverse. I think we're definitely meta heavy. Facebook, Instagram, maybe Threads every once in a while. I think I
Oh,
have.
I've seen us on Threads.
We are on Threads. We're also on the TikTok. Now,
TikTok.
we're taking our time with the TikTok. We're not fully we're still revving it up. Okay? Not everything's fully uploaded to TikTok. We are on the X, Mr. Musk's platform.
You
And
know,
go ahead.
you know something. If we can get a measly 1,000 followers on the TikTok,
Hmm.
we could do this live. We could
Yeah.
do TikTok lives. We could do the episodes live. So as it stands, I'm not going to tell you how. You're going to have to go look. You have to check us out on TikTok, report back how many followers we have, and follow us so we have one more. And once we get to 1,000, we can do a live.
And what is our handle on TikTok, Justin?
Well, it's Lawless Podcast.
It's Lawless Podcast. Simple as that.
It's not with Justin and Clayton because we don't have enough characters for that.
Right.
Or rather, they won't give us enough characters. But
Not
maybe
yet.
if we get a couple thousand followers, maybe they'll let us. Maybe they'll bend the rules for us.
Squeeze in a few extra characters on there. We're also everywhere you listen to podcasts. I like Spotify, but maybe I'm a fogey that way. I know Apple is hip.
Oh,
Um, what's the other ones? iHeartRadio is hip. My wife listens on the Prime platforms, the Amazon platforms. What
pretty
are
much
the?
anywhere, any legitimate source and some illegitimate sources
Yeah.
that you find podcasts. You find a podcast and somebody's selling them in a trunk in the alley. You might find us there. You might find us in some bootleg varieties. I don't know.
You know, what's wrong with suggesting some alternate websites? If people are asking, "Hey, we got website ideas." You know what I mean? We're going out to all of these websites. What's so wrong with throwing out, some websites that are off the beaten path, but are still well trafficked, okay? You know?
Well, what websites? I don't know what you're talking about,
Well,
but I'm rolling with it.
here's a hypothetical. Here's a
Okay.
Christmas hypothetical, for our lawless fam. What if what if you're part of an organization, let's just say a law enforcement organization,
Okay.
and there comes uh like any other work, or I guess area of work in the United States, sometimes unions get involved and there's dues, right?
Yes, yes,
You
I've heard of that.
following me?
I'm
So
following you.
maybe let's put our imagination cap on. You're a cop. There's a union that has something to do with this. You want to be a member of this union, but it's new. These are all new ideas. This is an uncharted path, right?
All of a sudden, I know where you're going with this.
This is an uncharted path. We don't know what we're going to do. We're still figuring out the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, yep,
There's
yep,
lots of group texts and group messages going on,
yep.
sometimes with everybody.
Really big group messages.
Really big group messages where just anyone can say anything and everyone will see it.
Yeah, and honestly, that's if you create a group chat with like 100 plus people, and you just let people speak freely, that's kind of whatever you
That's your
get is
fault.
that's your fault.
That is 100%
You
your
left the
fault.
door wide open.
In this thought experiment, you're a cop, maybe there's a union, you're figuring out we're new to the union. We just now got introduced to this union. We're thinking, hey, where are we gonna meet? Are there gonna be matching uniforms? Are there gonna be hats?
What are the rules?
What are the
What's the
rules?
expectation of behavior?
Right? Is there an expectation of behavior? I mean, I think we're kind of plowing our own field right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's say the topic of dues comes up. You know, you want to keep the machine rolling. Everyone's got to chip in their pennies, which
I've got
is
to give that
fine.
tithe.
And and so the topic comes around, how are you going to pass the offering plate? Where are you going? I mean, are we going to mail in these checks? We're not going to do that, are we? Are we going to
No,
have a drop
no.
box?
Oh, this is the 2020s, bro.
Yeah, yeah. That's amateur hour stuff. We're not back there. We're professionals. So I trying to contribute, but hypothetically in this situation, you know me. Look at this sweater. I'm a giving person. This is a Christmas themed. I'm always trying to chip in ideas. There's
Yeah,
a
do what you
problem.
can.
There's a
Yep.
problem. I want to solve it, or I want to try to, contribute. The topic comes up of like, how are we going to accept these dues? And we talk about drop boxes, no. Checks, no. Someone coming around doing till taps, no. We're not doing till taps. But I tell you what, we can do. Maybe there's a website, right? We're
Platform, you might say.
there's a platform. We're in the 2020s. I'm thinking not even in the future, right now. Let's use this technology. We have all kinds of websites. I'm just brainstorming. We have Venmo, right?
Yeah, yep,
We
yep,
have Zelle, right?
yep,
Got Cash App.
yep. But
Um,
what do you? Is there anything for fans?
if only there was a website where everyone could pay one central location.
Yeah,
If
but
everyone, whoever subscribes to this, and maybe you got to get permission to get in this site, everyone can pay. Dude, OnlyFans.
perfect.
OnlyFans.
We could have only fans in.
What a great idea. What a
Yeah.
masterful idea. It's already set up.
Are are you? Wait a second. Are you suggesting that perhaps that we should get a lawless OnlyFans account? Hold on, I've got an idea. You know, all of this begging and pleading and asking for people to people to like and subscribe and all this kind of stuff. What if what if we just do an OnlyFans account and we could just pay our bills through that?
Bro, bills would pay for themselves. Eureka, as someone might say.
I
Eureka, my
think
man. I think you got it.
I think that's it. And I'll bet you
You just
I'm
cracked the
gonna
code.
I'll bet you that we could go live on OnlyFans right now.
No shit.
I'll bet I don't have the idea. I'll bet that we wouldn't have to have 1,000 followers though.
I bet we wouldn't have to have $1,000 start getting paid. I tell
Yeah.
you that.
And yeah, I mean that's something to look into.
So
Uh,
if you're still following this thought train, this is a story. We went through this. There was a time where we were in an organization where there was a union introduced, and everyone is wondering how are we gonna get this union up and running on a text messaging chain that had everyone in the organization in it. From I guess not the top dog because he didn't want any part of it, but the everyone who didn't have
probably
a
everyone below him.
everyone below him was on this text message chain. And so they said, how are we going to collect these dues? I suggested OnlyFans.
Yeah, because you're a man of action for one.
I connect dots. I
Yeah.
connect dots. I see a need. I know a solution already. I say, fellas, there's already a website where you can pay to one centralized location.
Do you recall? I don't know off the top of my head. Do you recall? Because I was your supervisor at the time. Do you recall how fast, or rather, how long it took from when you sent that message to when I sent you a message suggesting maybe you unsend it or maybe you remove it? I feel like it was pretty quick.
No, it was definitely within the hour. I want to
Yeah,
say minutes. Yeah,
I feel
minutes.
like I feel like it was minutes because there's it took a little bit of time for me to read the message and then for me to process the message and then for me to kind of you know
Wait, why
I
did
did
he
my
just
old
say, why did
did,
Clayton just say OnlyFans?
did,
What?
did, and did he actually make a union account? Did he make an FOP account on OnlyFans?
I guess this
Um,
guy's hard charging. I guess this needs to be reflected in his evaluation.
yes. Which honestly, I apologize. I should have put that in your evaluation. That was my bad.
That
I should have mentioned that you were quick to come up with suggestions and that you were willing to think outside the box.
thinking outside
Um,
of the box. Thank you.
yeah. So it's late, but I'll give you a 5 on that. Give you a
Okay.
5 for that. So that should bump your eval up to I think a 43. So congratulations. You get a cost of living raise.
All right.
Enjoy that 2.5%, bro.
Dude, um, I don't mind saying this because it's true. You know, I left the sheriff's office with a medical retirement, which is cool, whatever, or it just that just is. I left the
Okay.
sheriff's office with the medical retirement. There were some at the sheriff's office that I had a complicated relationship with some people. Some people at the sheriff's office were happy to see me go, even. Um, I I didn't ask for anything. Like I definitely didn't ask for my retirement badge. I didn't ask for any sort of credentials or anything like that. Even though I know oftentimes that is given to people when they retire and leave the sheriff's office. Something I did get though, and I was at the sheriff's office for 7 years. Something I did get when I left was my certificate of appreciation for reaching 5 years of service, and I got a pin to go with it. The pin was for 10 years of service. So it's cool. They didn't give me the credentials that I didn't ask for or whatever that I don't even want, but obviously I'm a little salty about. But they did give me my 5 year appreciation 2 years too late and a pin that did not match the award.
They
So,
were digging. They were digging through the junk drawer, and they were like, "I mean, can we give him
ah,
this? Yeah, give it to him. That's
toss
fine.
it to him.
That's fine." So our guest should be showing up here in about 10 minutes. Before he comes, and I just added a special sound to the soundboard. I've never checked it out. I have no idea what it's going to sound like. I do have an idea just because of
I mean, well,
title.
what is it? What should it be a response to? I'll cook something up and you give it as a response.
What do you mean?
Like, is it a
Oh,
happy? Is it a yes or is it a no?
it's going to be a surprise. It's,
Surprise.
it's a Christmas surprise for you.
Oh, for me.
Yeah, well,
What?
for everybody, for the Lawless family.
Right, right.
You'll know it when it comes. You'll be like, oh, sweet,
Ah,
that was cool.
okay.
But before he shows up, I want to ask you, brother, how are things? What's new in your life?
Man, right now it's the holiday season. We're just starting to get into some parties. We're doing well, I mean, it's Christmas Day, but in real time, we did our neighborhood, or like our neighbors, our our group of friends here in the neighborhood. We did a little Christmas party last night. Um, Today during the day, our HOA had a Christmas party at the pool, which is nice. It was pretty
Huh?
warm. Well, I mean, it started to get cool and windy. It's December, but when the sun was out, it was nice and pretty. Um, we're getting ready to hit that long, long road. Other than that, I'm just trying to stay healthy. I think I tweaked my knee when I was running with big fat crap Roscoe.
I was gonna ask how big fat crap Roscoe was doing.
Big fat crap Roscoe.
Still big and fat, I see.
Fat as crap Roscoe. He's not he's a good boy. He's a really good boy. He's just constantly excited. Can you see me? You just blacked out on my screen.
Uh, you are frozen. Oh, there you are.
Okay. Oh, I can. It's cool. I can cut
Can
that out.
can are we safe to talk about the day that you almost killed him?
Yeah, yeah, we can. I was gonna reminisce about Roscoe and my knee and
Yeah,
how he's doing.
yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, I got to give a little bit of backstory on the dog to make this all make sense.
Okay.
Roscoe is a 2-year-old doggy, so he's not quite a puppy, but he's still a real young lad. He's a chocolate lab, known for being an athletic breed, known for being, super active.
Oh,
Um, Roscoe is my neighbor's dog. We don't have a dog. My family doesn't. We don't have a dog anymore, but Santa might be bringing one. But I've been wanting to get ready for having a dog around us, and I always love. It should have started off like this. I love running with a dog. What do you think? I think you might have a different idea on this because you were a handler. Do you have any personal feelings when a dog doesn't like you specifically?
yeah. Fuck you.
Fuck you, dog.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a judgment, like a valid judgment on you? Like, oh no, dogs, they know if people are good or bad,
No, I think it's an invalid judgment that that dog
right?
doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about
Now,
because he should love.
well, and also I learned this. I don't live by this. I'm going to explain it with Roscoe, but I learned from working around dogs when I was in law enforcement that dogs are not superhuman, supernatural beings. You know what I mean? It's not like they can just look at a car and know there's dope in there. They can't just look at a person and know if there's good or bad. Also, there are asshole dogs. So,
Yep.
like, sometimes if a dog doesn't like me, good. I don't like that fucking dog. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. Mutual's feeling, pal. Feelings mutual.
No, I like the first one. The mutual's
Yeah.
feeling, pal.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling
The
that mutual.
mutual is pretty fucking feeling. Um, Well, when we first moved in here, Roscoe is my dog next door. He barked at me every fucking chance he got. And he's a big lab, so his barks sound like a dinosaur. It's "Arr, arr." We were on the phone one time in my backyard, and Roscoe came outside, and I was trying so hard to ignore him, but you addressed it. You're like, "Hey, dude, are you gonna do something about that fucking dog?" We moved in here. He just acts like he hates my guts. He acts like he's gonna bite my face off through the fence. And I'm constantly in my backyard, loving nature, doing whatever I do in my backyard. I'm constantly back there. So I think it's a problem that this dog doesn't like me. Like, hey, dude,
Yeah, it
I've
is.
I've worked pretty hard on this fucking center right now, okay? And you're not gonna tell me that I don't have it going on because, like I'm really taking it heavy that this dog I think doesn't like me.
Right?
We want to get a dog. I do like running with a dog. I made the decision whenever this dog doesn't like me, like, hey, dude, I'm gonna make you like me. And one of the best ways I know of spending time with a dog, something that we can both do, is going to run. He's an athletic dog. I've ran with the canine handlers out around all around Lake Afton. I love running with dogs. So I first get permission from Roscoe's owner. Another thing for Roscoe's backstory, Roscoe's mom is my owner. Her husband, I'm not going to drag out a super sad story. Her husband got Roscoe as a puppy. And when Roscoe was 1 year old, about a year ago this time, her husband, Roscoe's daddy, I call him, died on a hunting trip. On is a very unexpected, just tragedy thing happened on a hunting trip. It was a hunting trip accident. And my neighbor has her own kids and own life going on. So Roscoe doesn't get a chance to go run. He doesn't get a chance. to do. He doesn't get a chance to be as active as I can tell, as I imagine he would like to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it like over the past year since his dad died, he's packed on the weight. He's just been sitting in his backyard chilling, packing on the pounds, becoming fat crap Roscoe.
Yeah.
So fat crap Roscoe always barks at me like he's gonna eat my face off. I take it personal that he doesn't like me because I'm insecure about myself. I get permission from my neighbor to start taking him on runs. And so I go get a leash and start taking this fucking dog on some runs. My neighborhood's about 5 miles around. It's a 5 mile loop in my neighborhood. So I take him and like surprisingly, I don't know, not surprisingly, he keeps pace with me. Like 6.5, 7 miles. He's running the whole time. He's actually trying to pull me, which we've talked about this. He's exerting his dominance on me. He gets in front of me and like sets the pace, which is annoying because he's naturally slower than I am. So like my knee ran into his butthole one time. I'm like, oh gosh, dang it, get it away from me. uh, I was pulling him to the side, and I know enough, like like I've worked with the handlers. I've seen how to handle a dog. Keep him at my side, keep him with me, whatever. That's how Brooks ran with his dog. Is that not how you're not supposed to run with a dog?
Oh no, I was looking at something else.
Oh, do you run with? Are you? Is it? It's best to run with the dog like right by you, right?
Yeah. Well,
Why is that?
yeah, I mean, we always did that for safety reasons because oftentimes we would have our gun out or we encounter something we don't want to trip over the dog. We don't want the dog in our way.
Yeah, that's what I always thought. And just running, like he almost tripped me a couple of times. He actually did trip me that first running trip. He actually did trip me a couple of times. I Yeah, it was a fun trip. I wore his ass out on that first running trip. I waited a whole week to take him on the second running trip. Second running trip, we ran around the whole neighborhood. He did a-okay. Maybe he slowed down a little bit. He got back in line. What I mean by that is like on the first run trip, he was extra rowdy at the beginning. He kept trying to like set the pace, get in front of me. But once I got him to my side, we had an understanding. And also I wore his ass out pretty quick. Like he didn't like my pace. So he kept up with me instead of trying to run it. Second time, kind of the same thing, except he got there quicker on the second time. Well, but I waited a week in between the first run and the second run. On the third run, I just went the next day. So like, yeah. So instead of waiting a whole week, I just went the next day. I'm like, hey, Roscoe, we're going to go for another run, buddy. And he's all happy, wagging his tail, and he's still fat crap Roscoe.
Still, after two runs,
I know. I'm like, what the hell, dude? Like, we're
not
gonna.
working.
It's all in the elbow, Roscoe. Um, so I start taking him on the run, but I know, like, I didn't give him a long break this time. I plan on run a mile, rest, let him catch his breath, do whatever. Maybe run another mile, rest, let him catch his breath. That's my plan. We go out on the first mile. I stop and he catches his breath. He's pulling like he wants to keep on running. We run the second mile. I stop, let him catch his breath. He acts like he doesn't even want to stop. He's just yanking at the leash. I'm like, okay. We go for like another minute, or not even a minute, like just into the third mile, and he quits. He lays down. He just decides, I'm fucking done, dude. I have a panic attack because this dog is like, he's definitely over 100 pounds. I don't know. He may be 120, 130 pounds right now. I'm like, dude, I could carry you home, but I really, really don't want to. I'm able to coerce him. I get him back to his house, and as soon as I get him in his backyard, he just collapses into the grass. I'm like, it's okay, buddy. Extra tired after that extra heavy run. It's okay. I rub his belly. He winces a little bit.
You'll be all right.
He's laughing because he knows where this is going. Um, an hour later, I'm in my back patio, and my neighbor's outside on her back porch. And she's like, "Hey, is my dog over there?" I'm like, "Oh no, he's back over there at your house. You don't see him?" No, huh? I walked over there. He's still in the same spot where I dropped him off at a couple hours ago. he got in really bad shape. Roscoe got in really bad shape. He ended I texted you whenever I started panicking. He wouldn't get up, he wouldn't
Yeah.
move.
And it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time.
I was super, super worried. I was like, dude, I think I just killed my neighbor's dog. And I think I partially did it out of ego. Definitely. Okay, 100%. I killed my neighbor's dog out of ego, trying to please mine and appease to his for some reason. Um, an hour goes by. I tell you, I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on? You're like, it's all right. He's probably just overheated. Get a wet towel, some wet towels, put it on his pads and his neck. Okay, cool. Do that. Homeboy still he's breathing. He's attentive. He's looking at me with his eyes. His mouth is open, but he's not moving. He's not doing anything. Panic is still building. I'm like, okay, whatever. We go about our day. Um, oh, it's pretty late in the day. The sun's going down. A couple of more hours go by. You ask me about him. I'm like, I think he needs to go to the pound. He doesn't go to the pound.
The
He ends up
pound.
coming inside, or not the pound. That's what I say. The pound. The vet.
Yeah.
Long story short, he peed a little bit of blood, which I we checked on ChatGPT. I might cut that out. I might not. Uh, um, it's common with a very overworked liver, like a fatty liver that gets overworked out of nowhere. It's common for people to pee blood. There's a term for it, Dr. Rab, like rabomyalgia.
Oh
Cross
yeah.
CrossFitters experience that.
Yeah. I had a buddy end up in the hospital, pretty pretty serious with that. The old rhabdo.
Well, I think it's a spectrum. There's a spectrum. There's more severe cases and less severe cases. Well, Roscoe, I think, had a very, very minor case of some rhabdomyalgia and was peeing blood. But he came in, rested for a couple days inside, was up and at it. We just ran yesterday. We ran all around the neighborhood. We went on a solid 5 miles.
So he's good to go. He's back. He's back at it, and all is well.
All is well. Santa, I think, got him a training collar for Christmas.
Uh, do you hear that, Clayton?
Do it again. Bing bong.
You know what that means?
What? Oh,
That means
doorbell.
there's someone at the door. Our
Mm.
very special guest. Let him in.
You should let him in.
All right.
Let's see who
I'm
it is.
I'm gonna let him in, and let's see who's at the door.
Ho, ho, ho.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my friend and now yours, Benny Ho, out of Colorado Springs. How are you, buddy?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you guys?
We're good,
We're
dude.
good.
I'm so excited to have this conversation. I I wasn't quite. I was going to ask you, and then I was like, no, I'll figure it out, and I didn't figure it out. So I don't know if I should introduce you as being from Ahava Gardens or Edenology or Moon Boots, or you're going to have to help us out. Where should we introduce you? Where are you? What organization are you with?
It's just like any good story. There's a lot of layers.
Okay.
And I don't love labels.
Very nice.
Really, I started as Moon Boots, and then partnered with Ahava Gardens, and then came on as a part of the management team for Edenology. So you nailed it. It's all three really.
Yeah,
You
I'm
know,
just as confused as I was.
it's
Right.
the
The
organic way.
answer is yes.
Yes, yes.
Well, I met Benny probably, I guess it's probably 2.5, maybe 3 months ago now.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I tell people whenever I tell people about you, which is fairly often, that I met you and I talked to you for probably 30 minutes, several months ago, and then we spoke very briefly over the phone, and then I came back to see you about a month ago now, and when I got there, it was so like you guys knew my name. I was met with a hug, and I was just like, damn, like I just felt the love, and it was so cool. And I'm just so appreciative of you and what you do, which we'll talk about, and also your willingness to come on and share it with us and to share your story and your life and everything.
I don't know if you've seen our podcast or not. It's okay. You're forgiven if you haven't. You're not one of the dozens that have seen us. It's all right. It's all right. But I know you know my buddy J Dub, and I've chatted with you. Kind of our vibe and the whole podcast, the Lawless vibe is we're both former law enforcement officers. I come from the military before that. We talk about a lot of things, but we kind of focus around current events, some conspiracy theories. We talk about deconstruction, and what we mean by that is specifically deconstruction from Western evangelicalism and like our
Yeah.
spiritual path on that. And something else that we talk about a lot is mental health because we've both open about our journey through mental health, and there's it's like that specifically. I say journey because I don't know if it's a destination as much as it is just the journey. I mean, about life, not just mental health, but about life. Um, I bring that up because I I think there's a real need. There always has been, but there's a big part of the world that has a lot of questions and they go to the same old traditional place of like, where can I get the answer? School, church, mom and dad, the post office, the library. And over the last, I mean, you could say really forever, but certainly since the age of the internet, the veil has definitely been lifted, and the same old answers aren't answering the same old questions. And I don't know you as much as J Dub, but I was going over the bio that you sent us a little bit, and man, I really can't wait to hear your story because something that I saw in your story is that you looked through the veil. Like even from an earlier, you talked about like your journey, you know.
Mhm.
But like, it seemed like you always were questioning, maybe, or it seemed like that was a theme. Is that right?
Yeah, you've already said a lot of things that I resonate with, both of you. The journey aspect, as many times happens, a lot of my conversations start with, "So I was journaling about last night,"
Uh-huh.
and I noticed that trend, and I've continued a daily, multiple journal practice for a better part of 5 years. But the idea that there is no carrot at the end of the stick, only the stick.
That's right.
I uh there's a lot to where how I landed here. It's not, this wasn't the plan.
Huh.
But what is the plan? Whose plan? And that's, growing up in the South and growing up where there was a lot of conservative Christianism, a lot of uh, box mentality.
Yeah.
Uh, it provided me with a lot of questions. But what were those questions? How do we access those questions? And where do we find those answers? And a lot of times, we can find those answers in those places: church, parents,
Sure.
teachers before us.
Hmm.
But I've found as I've gone through my journey, we don't have the right answers because we don't know the right questions.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
when we can find those questions, the answers actually lie within. That's the amazing part about what I found is, especially, and we'll probably go deeper when we get into meditative practices or spiritual practices, or even work with plant medicine. It allows us to become a different type of observer, where we really can find the questions, and believe it or not, those answers are in us. And a lot of times it's like, well, I knew that.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of times, it's a lot of times things where you're like, well, I kind of knew that, but maybe I wasn't asking the question the proper way. And
Hmm.
and once we have that answer, guess what spills out? Even more questions.
That's right. Plato described Socrates kind of talking about that. He said Socrates would describe learning as not like you're gaining new information, but you're remembering old information that you already have. Like, I mean, just from the simplest things, like if your mom and dad tell you one plus one is two, well, you already knew that. You just needed the words to describe what
Hmm.
one is. Actually, you didn't even know there was a concept as something separate from you until mom said one and one is two. You're like, oh, there's more than one? That must mean they're separate.
Well, so I think rather than keep talking about it, let's dive in. Benny, tell us what it is. Tell our lawless family what it is you do, and maybe why you do it.
So currently, I am one of the leaders of Ahava Gardens. I'm also the business owner of a company called Moon Boots, and that's psychedelic therapy. But also, my shortened term is MBHC, which is Moon Boots Holistic Consulting, or my full name Consulting. And then I also help manage the space, the wellness center. And a lot of people get very confused. They're like, "Wait, wellness center, church, moon boots. What? How does this all relate?" The wellness center actually opened its doors 3 years ago this last Friday. So we just had our 3-year anniversary. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I came along about a year and a half ago, so still in kind of the infancy. And then I came on as one of the as a Moon Boots facilitator for certain plant medicines last October, so a little over a year now. And then when I left my job with the Postal Service this last March, I came on to help manage that space, where we could have a little bit more systems. I come from corporate restaurant management. Before I was with the post office, I've worn many hats over the years. And so I was able to bring in kind of my tools and skills to, provide all of our practitioners and the rest of the management team with the tools. I run a don't know, don't care type of well, I run that in a lot of things when it comes to helping parent some children, as well as run an effective business. And if somebody doesn't know something, that's my fault.
Hmm.
If somebody doesn't care, that's a different conversation.
Yeah,
It really started. I don't know how far we want to start diving here,
let's dive,
but
brother.
yeah, I don't know if do you want me to go from the very beginning or just in the recent?
Let me throw this out there real quick.
Yeah,
So I mentioned you guys were in Colorado Springs.
yeah.
Is Old Colorado City, is that part? Is that like a neighborhood of Colorado Springs, or what exactly is that?
Yeah, it's some interesting history. So I've lived in this neighborhood for about 8 years. I was up in Denver for about 8 years, and then I grew up in Arkansas, and then moved out here to
What part of
Broad,
Arkansas?
Western Arkansas, Fort Smith.
Oh,
So the
okay.
Fort Smith Fayetteville region, so western northwestern Arkansas. If you ever saw the movie True Grit or any of
Yeah.
that, and actually my cousin is the U.S. Marshal for that district. So
Oh,
Oh wow.
one of 60 something guys. And, he's one of the, I think he's one of the good guys too on that side. So, I'm not complete anti anything usually, except for certain things, but, he works a lot with, really, really helping keep that community safe, in that whole region. So I grew up there. And Old Colorado City spoke to me because living in Denver when I transferred down here with my last my last job, um, I was kind of concerned because I moved to Colorado to have options, to have more a broader experience of discovery, to discover really even at 27 years old, and I'm still always discovering who I am. I will till the day I die. Um, but I moved down here and I moved to Denver to have this like, more of a liberal vibe and this openness, a lot of art and culture and diversity. And coming to the Springs, I was a bit concerned because I knew this was steeped in a lot of Christian conservative, organizations, Planned Parent, or excuse me, Focus on the Family.
Focus on the family, dog.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I actually work with I work with someone else whose wife used to be and she left for all the reasons.
Good for her.
But I was really I was like, I moved to this state, yet I'm going to go back to like my hometown essentially.
Hmm.
What am I doing here? And I found Old Colorado City, which is a little bit more community based. It's there's a little bit more of a liberal kind of mountain vibe. And Old Colorado City was actually the capital of Colorado for, I think it was like a week. And that was where during the, I think it was 1869 is when they had their big rush here. And that was essentially where everything, all your supplies, all your stuff before you headed out into the mountains. And of course, Garden of the Gods being here, which is it's literally down the street. I can ride my bike there and be in Garden of the Gods in 5 minutes,
Wow.
which is wonderful. That's been a powerful center for the indigenous peoples of this region, for the explorers, from the Spanish conquistadors to all the others who found this area. So there's a bit of a magic to that side of town, and it didn't feel like the other side of I-25. They say the west side is the best side. The other side of I-25 seems a little bit more, I guess, modern, I guess you could say, more, more where the conservative side of town is, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
And what I did realize, though, when I moved here, how do we bring about change to communities? We don't run away from them. We come to them with our knowledge and our love, and we can help change those communities, help polish the lens, or give a new lens for maybe some different thoughts, some different ways. I'm not here to change anyone's belief system or anything like that. I honor whatever anybody wants to believe, but I also do feel that it's good for people to hear other perspectives, especially, with the internet and with everything in the day and age. you know, um, it's, it's a lot of times, oh, that's some guy on the internet or some guy on a podcast, and it's wonderful to be in a community and have a community center, which is Edenology, to be able to just speak openly about all of it, from safe and ethical use of plant medicine to, different spiritual paths to different modalities. A lot of people call us alternative medicine, but I like to think original medicine as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, that's kind of how I ended up on this side of town. And yes, it is part of Colorado Springs, but we're more kind of lumped into the Manitou Springs, a little bit more mountain vibe, artsy, different kinds of communities here.
I was just going to throw out there, I don't know that any of our current listeners or followers would necessarily be going to Colorado Springs to visit Focus on the Family. But if you are, let me just encourage you,
Also,
skip that and just head right over to Old Colorado City, because it's a freaking cool town. It's cool. Just like I was first time I was there for a week, or close to a week. And I just walked up and down the streets and shopped in the shops and just hung out. And so the town itself, or the area, is very cool. But then your facility is very, like, you might not know what to expect. And when we're done here, I'm gonna recommend that everybody go give you a visit in person. But it's a very cool atmosphere. It's a neat building. It's just a cool vibe. It's not, you may not know what to expect, but I can tell you it's very unintimidating. It's just a neat place. Clayton, what were you saying?
oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to go there. I plan on going there. Actually, my wife and I plan on a couples thing at the center there from the link you sent me. But anyway, Benny, I was going to ask you, what is how would you describe your spiritual journey, like maybe from the time you were spiritually interested to
Yeah.
where you are now? And how would you describe, I know like this is for kind of people of all faiths, or at least that's my idea, is that it's for people of all faiths. So maybe you're not pushing, like you wouldn't say your practice is a spiritual tradition, but if it is, what is it, or how would you describe where you got to where you are and what is where you are?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Spiritually, by the way, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to quote my girlfriend from sixth grade, who actually, surprisingly, for some reason, she always texts me during our ayahuasca ceremonies, which we just had this last weekend. And I had this wonderful experience where I went to check my phone in the other room, kind of taking a break from I think we had 10, 11 people last night, and then six of us serving. So we had 17 people in that room plus a dog. So if you've been in the room,
Love
Justin,
that dog, by the
yeah,
way.
that's our like max. So it was actually one of our larger ayahuasca ceremonies we've had in some time. But she used to say when we were kids, labels are for jars.
Oh, I love that.
And I've attributed that to her for all these years. And we reconnect about once a year, maybe a couple times a year. We've just those kindred spirits. She goes, I don't remember ever saying that. And I was like, I know you did. I have a good memory.
Mhm.
So labels are for jars. And that's something that I picked up in sixth grade from my sweet girlfriend Kendall. um, but basically my journey with spirituality really started quite young. I was raised in the Episcopal Church, and I had a good experience. Unlike a lot of people in my region who, were more in the Pentecostal or Baptist types of environments, I was in, I guess, what you would call a little bit more of a open type of church.
Hmm.
The Episcopal Church was one of the first churches to allow gay clergy.
Women
The
clergy.
Yeah, women clergy. There was, it was desegregated, well before any of that. Um, and my mother sang in the choir for 40 years. She was the first one right in there. It's a beautiful church. When I grew up, I had a wonderful pastor who is actually, his name's Lowell Grisham. He was uh, what is Michael Grisham, if you're familiar with
The author.
the author, is
Yeah.
his cousin. So
Oh, wow, cool.
yeah,
A
so I
Time to
think
Kill.
yeah, yes, exactly, yeah. So he had just a good way of he was a great orator, so he was a great preacher, minister, whatever language there. I forget what we call him now. We used to call him Father.
Okay.
So it was Father Grisham. And my parents drug me to church every Sunday. That was just something that I started as a young child. Did I love it? When I was a kid, most kids, I'd rather be coloring in the back
Sure.
of the Bible. um, but I really was lucky to go to a place that was very open and welcoming. They would employ the homeless community. That part of town has a large homeless population. They would do, my father helped start the sack lunch program,
Mm.
where when I was a young boy, I would fill sack lunches and make peanut butter sandwiches and throw apples in a bag, and we would hand them out from the church. And then they ended up buying a building across the street that is now the soup kitchen, that's still around, and this started in the 80s. So I really got to understand, and what I got from my parents, which I'm very lucky. I hit the jackpot with them. I truly did. um, I understand that, to the least among you, you are no different than the man that's sleeping on the corner or the man up on the mansion.
Hmm.
That the and my parents are Blue Dog Democrats as well.
Okay.
My sheriff, or my cousin, who is now the marshal, was the sheriff, and he used to be Bill Clinton's security detail.
Oh, wow.
Degree separated from the Clintons, and we won't go into any of that. um, but I understood. you know, the idea that we as beings on this planet are here to be of service.
Mm.
And that's something that really stuck into me. And there wasn't a lot of fire and brimstone in that church. It was not, you have to do this and you're going to go to, HE double hockey sticks if you're, I don't know if we can use much language on here or not,
You
but
can use whatever
Well,
word you
listen,
want.
I try to keep it clean, but old Clayton, he's kind of a wild
I
card.
got a
I have
potty mouth.
no idea what he's going to say.
but you know, I really had a good experience, and I would listen, and I would read the Bible, but there was always something missing,
Mm.
because my parents, raised me to think, it wasn't always, this is just the way it is, it's, what do you think? So they really gave me a basis of questioning, of, hey, if this is something that you want to do and enjoy and continue on in your life, great. But if not, we want you to be happy. And if something else makes you happy, then by all means, we will support that. And then,
About what age was that you started noticing that there just something that just wasn't quite?
you know, young, very young. I was a twin, and I lost my twin brother in the womb, actually.
Mm.
So I feel, and I never really analyzed this much until I got into more Eastern philosophy and understanding past lives and things like that. That I had some kind of connection to the ethereal, and I believe it's my brother. His name was Jeffrey, and we were in the womb together until a few months before my mother birthed us, and he passed at some point, and I think that's actually where it started. My partner, my twin, the person that perhaps and I don't know. It's hard for me to just and things like that. And I'm a skeptic too. That's another thing. So we'll get
It's
into
hard
that.
for you to do what, Ben?
Have like, well, I planned this and this is what God planned, or
Oh
was this
yeah.
just what, or is this just what happened,
Mm.
or did I in my previous life say I'm signing this contract for my parents, and my brother's going to die before we're born, and it's a tough one for me, and it's something I'll always work on. Faith is a hard one for me, because I do question things, but also faith is something that I am reinvigorated with more and more as I've ascended into this new way of thinking, especially after my sobriety, which we'll get into a little bit later. But as a young person, really was curious. I had a curiosity about me. I had a curiosity about, not just here's how it is,
Hmm.
so I'd say as a very young person, and of course, as puberty hit, that 11, 12, 13 years old, that's really when I knew that there was something more out there. And I actually, at a young age, was very interested by the counterculture. When I was
Mm.
like 12, 13 years old, was interested with Eastern philosophy, was interested in other religions.
What was your introduction to that?
What's really kind of cool, my mother was a public school teacher for 40 years as well. And we weren't a wealthy family, but we weren't poor by any means either. My father ran a nonprofit cancer foundation. He was one of two paid employees. He was a really good grant writer, and that foundation still is in my hometown. And my mother was a public school teacher. But what was cool, the advantage was, is my mother was able to bring home a computer on the summers. So at a young age, I started searching the internet. And this would have been early mid 90s when the internet was a 14.4
Wow.
dial up, and my parents also allowed me to um I guess watched movies with them when I was young that maybe were more of an adult content. But they always explained to me, you do know the difference between make believe and fantasy. My mother, my father is, very, he likes art and literature. He's a poet.
Oh, wow.
There was always different kinds of books from Greek philosophers to Christian things. My mother and I share the love of sci-fi. We still bond over sci-fi and alternative type of media.
Uh,
So they really just laid a foundation for me to have an expansiveness of options. We just believe what this book says. We can find insight through art and poetry and music.
wow.
My dad took me to the Rolling Stones twice before I was 13. I've seen Tina Turner and Cyndi Lauper. They even allowed me to go see Marilyn Manson when I was 13. And that was actually, being a musician, I started playing when I was about 12. I was really intrigued by Nine Inch Nails. It's still one of my favorite artists ever.
Heck
And
yeah.
there were certain lyrics in there with Manson. That's a little bit more, that's I think more rebellious stage. But also, those were musicians who really, helped me go, huh. Maybe there's some other side. So at a young age, I was able to investigate things on the internet. I got very proficient. I was programming what by the time I was 13, 14 years old. I should have stuck with it, but I found music and cannabis, and then there's that.
Hell yeah.
So cannabis was another big one. I started cannabis at a young age. I was probably 13. And that's another thing where
The old devil's lettuce. Sounds like it's a
right.
gateway.
But it was part of like being able to take my mind because I wasn't like trying to at that stage in my life necessarily mask anything
You weren't
because I think
escaping
my
anything.
right. I think I had some childhood trauma, but that was maybe put on hold or pushed down enough for me to reevaluate later. But it was something that really helped me to go down different pathways of the mind that you usually wouldn't. Now, do I think 13-year-olds should use cannabis? Absolutely not. But
No.
that's my story. And so, really, with just my parents' expansiveness with culture, art, poetry, different books, allowing me to go to the Methodist church. So, I joined the youth group in the Methodist church because they had the cool youth group and they had pizza and there were cute girls.
Yeah.
So I started playing in the praise and worship band when I was like 13. But we would play like some Bob Marley, and then we'd play As the Deer, and then we'd play some Cat Stevens, and then we'd play Our God is an Awesome God. And the Methodists in that town seemed to be another community that were my youth minister was a gay man. I think then it probably wasn't. We all just kind of knew, you
Yeah.
know but it was a place of inclusivity, and I really found that with both the Episcopals and the Methodists in those particular churches in my hometown, of a community of people that really weren't that judgmental, like when I'd go to the lock-ins at the Baptist church. That was a different
Yeah.
story because I'd go to those
Those
lock-ins because
lock-ins suck.
they also had pizza and cute girls too.
And a whole bunch of rules.
Yeah, and I got saved once and didn't even know it. It was really
You just
funny.
raise your hand and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, they took me. I remember they took me off into, a side room or something. They're like, "Hey, you believe in Christ?" I was like, "Oh yeah, like I think, he was,
Sure.
all the wonderful things." And they're like, "Oh, cool." And I think I signed something, or I can't remember. And I go back to school that Monday, and I remember all these girls who I kind of knew coming up to me like, "Oh, we heard you got saved." I was like, "I got saved, really?" And I told my father, and he goes, "Yeah, but you were baptized."
Yeah. We already
Yeah.
got you in there, bud.
Yeah, but so again, that opened me up to just having good parents who are still my best friends. I talk to my mother we haven't missed a day in 5 years almost now. My father and I are very close. They're just good-hearted, just good, solid people. So I say, the reason I don't win at casinos is because I already hit the jackpot when I was born.
Oh,
And perhaps you know, uh, well, anyways, so moving forward, and I am a talker, so mind you.
well, well, fast forward, like maybe how did you get introduced to what you're doing now, and what is that?
Yeah, yeah. So at 16, I was
Fast
with my
forwarded two
band.
years. Okay.
Yeah, so yes, I'm just yeah. So I got to start here though, because this is
Okay.
this is the beginning. I had researched, different religions. I had even sought out, I wanted to know what Satanism was about in the Satanic Bible because I wanted to know. I wanted to be able to compare and
And
contrast,
mom and
especially
dad were
after.
cool with this?
Actually, so my dad did take away my Marilyn Manson album for a day. And he asked me, he's like, is this something you like believe? Because it was Antichrist Superstar,
Yeah.
which, has a lot of imagery and a lot of things that are very inflammatory, and things maybe I don't agree with now. But, it was that same conversation though, of like when we'd watch, a Stephen King movie or something when I was a kid of like, is this something you're believing, or is this something you're just exploring and you want to know things? And it's like, no, like I don't really believe this. I just want to know. You got to know the bitter, taste the bitter to know the sweet.
Yeah.
You've got to, fall down to know how to get up. So it's important to educate. And of course, I come from an educator as well. Um, so at 16, I was in a band that was amazing. We were quite the awesome band, and I was the singer, and the guitar player was a couple years older, and he had access to LSD. And I, for the first time on February 5th of 1999, I can remember that. I took 2 hits of Pink Elephant. It was on Pink Elephant sheet of LSD. It was a good environment. It was a good setting. It was, my mindset was good. And I was with my best friend growing up, who was the drummer, and my new best friends, and another friend I had grown up with. And it was actually a very, for it being teenagers, we were all very spiritual. Our band was called Excelsior, which was, the cross, the Excelsior cross in the night sky. And we were all into God and Christ, but maybe not in the traditional sense, and we were all very, very spiritual young men. And my music was, a lot of people say, is this a love song? And I was like, actually, it's a song to God, and that's where the first time, instead of me just reading about God and reading about spirituality, it was the first time I felt the oneness. It was the first time I was like, oh wow, I can feel just this. I didn't see God. I had some trippy visions and stuff, but nothing like some people describe. It was this other sense, this other tapping into this, like, just knowing that I am no different than that blade of grass or that tree right there, or my
Mm.
friend in the other room. And I felt just this oneness of all things. And
Tapped
that
into the
was,
life force.
yes, and whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
The language I used then was God.
Amen.
And that was the first time I was like, holy cow, there's something more to this. And that really just opened my third eye, or whatnot, just opened my brain so I could expand into looking at it in a different lens, and something that I couldn't read in a book. And in that experience, it opened me up to who I really was, and who I was as a part of this whole. And I saw God not as this man, or pulling the proverbial strings, but as me. Not
Mm.
that I was God and I could have these magical
Mm.
powers or something, nothing that psychotic state or anything like that. But I understood, but I didn't have language for it yet.
Hmm.
I didn't
Did
have, yeah.
did you have a sense? Did you have a sense that that's what you were going to get, or was it just a curiosity?
You know,
Or
I think the intention was, looking back, nobody's ever really asked me this. I think looking back, I think the intention was for deeper spiritual exploration right off the bat. And then I did learn how to play the piano that night too. It finally clicked.
All the pieces came together. You woke
Yeah,
up speaking Mandarin. You're like,
and
oh,
and
acid.
the yeah, and then the love. That's the cool thing about it. I like so wanted to call my mom and tell her how much I loved her. I didn't. you know.
Man, I hear this so much in you, and I know you mentioned it. I think you mentioned it on here before, but I know you mentioned in your bio. When were you first introduced to Ram Dass? Because Ram
Oh yeah.
Dass is like I can't get too weird with people. Like as soon as the topic of Ram Dass comes up, I say to myself, Clayton, don't get weird.
settle
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. So, progressing, as a young person, I was very interested in the counterculture. So, I was a deadhead at 12 years old. I have a picture with that girlfriend in sixth grade with my first Grateful Dead shirt. you know, so the counterculture always interested me.
You were born for
Um,
this.
yeah, the kind of hippie community. I wanted to be a hippie very young. um, and so that led me down the path of Ken Kesey and the writer One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the Merry Pranksters, some of the Beatnik guys. And of course, as any good college kid should, I received, a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, and it was
Yeah.
on a CD-ROM actually. And it was from a Hare Krishna. And I was probably at a music festival because I started going to music festivals, as a teenager, and going to jam band shows where there's a lot of psychedelics and a lot of open-minded spiritual people that were not those constructs that I was used to. Um, and I remember uh, understanding and reading "Be Here Now,"
Uh-huh.
probably in college. Probably when I was 18 or so.
Uh-huh.
And really. Uh, and it was more dabbling. I didn't have a practice and didn't go down the full wormholes until just a few years ago, to be perfectly honest. I floated through some alcoholism for those years though, so that kind of dampened some things down. But Ram Dass really, I really dove into and actually developed a practice and became a yoga teacher. And I'm not a Buddhist. I don't like to call me you could call me a yogi if you want, but I do follow the traditions of the Eightfold Path and the teachings of the Eightfold Path. But I also, and incorporate Christ consciousness and the teachings of the Vedas and, things that are, more of the Eastern side of things, where God is not that way. To find God, you come this way.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, that is so beautiful. You were on that path. 16, you had your first experience with acid.
yeah.
You've been on this. Um, wh- what else happened?
Well, I worked with many other psychedelics because being a deadhead, and I used to play in jam bands as well. So I'd play music festivals and had a lot of access to different psychedelics over the years. So in high school it was LSD and mushrooms and ecstasy as well. Then MDMA, but that was what we used to call X back then. I don't even know if they call it X anymore.
I think you're asking wrong people
Asking
on
the
what
wrong
the
people.
lingo is.
Yeah. So a lot of mind expansion, opening up to different pathways, and doing some more study into some philosophies. But again, it was more dabbling because there was there was that low vibrational force that was always a passenger with me, which was alcohol and
Mm.
even daily cannabis use. That was something that I think if I had to trade again, I would probably have cut out. I think cannabis is a wonderful medicine, and I'm an absolute advocate for cannabis. But eh, you know,
Yeah, and I think it's I don't know. I'm navigating this right now with myself as like the conversation of what's too much, what's not enough,
yeah,
because it's not alcohol and it's not even fair to even compare it to alcohol.
no,
You know what I mean? But it could be similar to coffee. Like you can
yeah,
have too much coffee in a day. You can absolutely have
yeah,
it's actually a lot less harmful now that I think about it than coffee. But you can have too much coffee in a day and get, out of sorts. Cannabis, I like there's if you choose, if you're an adult and it's legal for whatever you to do, um, there's there's enough, and then there's just too much, and I feel like too
mhm,
much just makes you a little foggy,
yeah.
just slows you down a little bit too much, man.
Yeah, yeah. I took a
You-
break for many years and then revisited it. And then I was like, is the juice worth the squeeze? Because I would have a conversation. I'd be having a conversation now, and I would get lost in like, what was I even talking about? And I like to be on point. And then my dreams came back, and I was like, oh, I think I like these dreams more, So is the juice worth the squeeze, at a certain point? But yeah, and then in my mid 20s, to I'll try to put a bow on this. I worked with DMT, um, which is what my primary work is now. And that was the first time, I had used plant medicine, um, where this skeptic actually was like, "Oh shit, there's proof."
with DMT.
Yeah. Yeah. That was the first time like I was like, oh, there's some what I felt some evidence of another plane of existence, a plane of existence that is perhaps right now in this space, or that bardo, if you're familiar with that term, that space in between dimensions. And that was when I really was like, okay, this is even deeper than just my journeys with psilocybin or with LSD.
Mhm. When you're going to these places, do you think it's somewhere that has history to it, that people like maybe people from other traditions, ancient traditions, they've been to that space before? Like, is that the feeling
Absolutely.
you get?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's DMT is endogenous. There's many ways to access DMT. There's many different ways to the top of the mountain. Some of us take the helicopter, some of us drive up the road, some of us, hike the whole way up. You look at these traditions. I'll think of the Tibetan Buddhist monks who meditate and go off into these absolute journeys. And I work with some people who are hardcore meditators who can go into these very DMT like experiences. It can be accessed because it is in our brain. It's also in our lung fluid. There's certain types of somatic, breath work where you can release endogenous DMT.
I
It
hope you
can
can
be,
teach us how to do that before we're done today. Please,
yeah.
teach me how to do it. No,
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
so absolutely, and then when you look at the architecture, that's in a lot of different cultures who did work with these medicines, and there's proof that they worked with these medicines, especially DMT. You see that geometry in these cultures, and I do feel that if you really, I don't like to have beliefs. I have ideas.
Hmm.
And belief I think is too rigid for me.
Hmm.
And an idea I have is that um, these are realms that is where we are as disembodied beings, angels, archangels, spirit guides, entities, what have you. Now,
Aliens.
also, is this our brain doing some stuff and creating some of this? Yes. I think it's one and the same. I'm a skeptic and spiritual, and that used to do that. And over time and over study and over having research and science and, personal experience and experiences of people I work with, I found that those two can meet in the middle and, have that common ground. So I do believe it is a place where we can receive information from ourselves. And what are these entities there? Like, you know, I wish I could, literally bring one back and say, okay, here you go, let's study it now. But that's just not the case.
Well, are there common types that people see? Like, are there commonly reported
Yeah,
archetypes or
yeah.
characters?
Yeah, there are. The most common, if you're familiar with Terence McKenna's work, Terence McKenna, was primarily an orator, but also quite the psychonaut. He worked with
Hmm.
psilocybin and DMT, he and his brother, and he called them the essentially to shorten it, the machine elves.
Hmm.
And a machine elf is a very common archetype in that place. And to me, and I think to what some other people have discussed, they are having something to do with they're the workers of that space. They are having something to do with creating the fabric of perhaps this time and space and the other time and space and the fabric in between. They're like the entities that are working, and they're constantly moving, and they're doing something, and they're doing this or that. Some people have encounters with insectoids or angels, archangels, elves. What's really interesting for me though, and for a lot of people, um, I don't get a whole lot of just straight up entity encounter. I think that as man's brain is programmed, we look for faces.
Hmm.
So when we're receiving this information that we've never received and our brains don't know what to do with and how to process, it says, hey, let's give you this archetype so you can process this rather than just telepathically taking on this communication.
I
So I
was just thinking about that when you said the machine elves. Like, how else would your brain visualize or imagize
mm,
these things that are essential to keep everything rolling? You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like grease or electricity, like matter. Like you just have to have it here. Like,
so
how
so
would your brain
when
describe that? Yeah.
wonderful example here. When the conquistadors were going to South America and those ships were coming to shore, the natives couldn't see them.
Yeah.
They had no frame of reference. They literally they could not see those ships. They it just does not compute. There's nothing to you know so I think it's in that same vein, of like when we are experiencing something that we don't have any comparison for, our brains have to go into that mode of all right, we're gonna create something for you, and we naturally see faces and things. That's part of our survival, is to see faces in nature. You see a face, that could be danger, so we have that pattern recognition, which happens in these experiences. So I do believe part of it can be some stuff that your brain's just got to do, but then also part of it perhaps is actual, I don't know, little green men or something.
Something that I think is worth throwing out there is the common experiences that you're talking about. These are coming from people that you are actually sitting with,
Mhm.
that are reporting it back to you, that
Yeah.
may or may not have a reference for it themselves. And I think that adds some credibility, to what you're saying and to the things that Terence McKenna talked about or others have talked about. That this isn't something that people just talk about online. This is something that somebody comes into your center, or that you have been with, and they're reporting something that they shouldn't know about,
Yeah.
right? Or like they don't have a. It's not like read the they read the rules and then they came back. Oh, I saw
Right.
this or that. Like
Yeah.
you're hearing them tell you firsthand what they saw and experienced, and it connects to all the hundreds, thousands of other accounts
Yeah.
that you've heard of. Which I think so. Anytime you've got something that transcends culture and time and places and geography, I think there's something worth looking into. I think that gives a lot of credibility.
Yeah. Well, are you familiar with, oh gosh, I can't remember his name right now. But he's working with the DMT lasers.
Uh, I've been seeing it on
Yeah.
TikTok.
Is it the guy
Yeah.
from Maps?
It's not, no, I can't remember his name.
Not
But
Alex. It's not Alex O'Connor, is it?
no, yeah. essentially, if you Google DMT laser, it would come up. But they are literally seeing the same essentially
Like
you could say
lettering.
coding. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So sigils, and there's artists like Allison Gray, Alex Gray's wife, if you're familiar with his art. um, she has these same looking sigils that have been in her art for years. There
It's
are
like alien, almost Asian type and
it,
hieroglyphic type.
yep,
Yeah.
yep.
It's the
And
Matrix. It's what the
It's
Matrix
what it
code
looks
looks
like is the
like.
yeah,
Matrix.
exactly. And this is like and these are, these aren't just some, and that's the fun thing is like this is no longer just some hippie drug thing. you know, it's professionals, it's people, it's former mailman, it's I work with um rocket scientists. Like don't tell anybody. But it's wild because these are very educated, well-rounded people who have not psychosis or things like that, but there's something there to that.
Who
um
are the people that's coming to see you?
So that's a wonderful thing. So it's so amazing because when I started Moon Boots, I'll just put a little end on my story.
Sorry.
I got sober 5 years ago this January. And I, I ran restaurants. I played in bars my whole year, all my life. I woke up at 37 years old and realized every bad thing, every injury, every unkind thing I had ever done to myself or others was all directly related to alcohol, and I was going to die if I didn't quit. So I checked myself into rehab. I left my job after rehab, that's when this really opened up. I went the Western route. I did talk therapy. I tried Lexapro for a year. I just wanted to figure it out. But I always knew every time I worked with psychedelics as a younger person, there was always some kind of mental clarity, some kind of spiritual insight. There was always something, but I was only getting 20% because I was also trying to use it to, party and have fun, but I never really did it. Sometimes, of course, I would do it with more intentionality. And I don't think I give myself enough credit usually either. But I knew I would return back to psychedelics. But I was scared. I was, I sold weed when I lived in Arkansas, so I always had like that kind of like monkey on the back. I did go to jail for one night when I was 17. So, I had some weed at that same house I did LSD in a couple years later. But I knew that when I returned to these medicines that I needed some time off. So I took many years before I reintroduced psychedelics.
Hmm.
And I knew that I wanted to do it safely. And, DMT, when I returned to that, I, was like, I don't want to put something unhealthy in my body after doing all this work. I've reversed aged. You look at a picture of me from 5, 6 years ago, and it's a big difference. And I knew that I needed to do it with reverence too. I didn't want to just go, when you hear somebody play a song and you can feel it. You see somebody's art and you're like, oh, I can feel it. It's the same way with medicine. Somebody can make this for greed and for just money, or somebody can do this with reverence and with love, and be able to work with the medicine and say prayers or invocations. And also you can extract plant medicine dirty and clean. You can use solvents from under the kitchen, or you can use the same solvents that they would be using in a professional laboratory. um,
Yeah,
so
I think about that when I buy sage, when I buy or I
yeah,
don't buy white sage. I grow my
yeah.
sage now. That's such a weird thing for me to say. I never thought I'd say that sentence. But I heard someone say that just that, like, you don't buy sage because you don't know what that person put on it, who grew it,
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
surroundings that stuff was grown in.
yeah.
And I have used that sage before. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, you have to sage your sage.
Yeah, is that right?
Well, you can clear things with sacred smoke, and sage is the most powerful. So maybe you need to sage your other sage. I've never.
It's here.
I
I
love
can
that.
sh
Can't wait to
I can
share
show
that
you
with
some things.
the community. But put a bow on it. I started working with DMT, with the DMT that I extracted. I know where it's from. I know the company that I work with, and and it really, when I started setting with it, I was able to incorporate the mindfulness practice I had developed over those years of sobriety. The yoga that I had developed, the things that were really, really helping me get in, but there's still something missing. There was still deeper work. And I was scared. I felt like a kid again because I was a new person. I was using it in a very, very different way. And it opened me wide up. That first experience was like, okay, all right, let's do the work. Let's quit working for a paycheck. Let's be that you are a yoga teacher. So the manifestation, not I'm gonna, says you
Yeah.
are a yoga teacher, and that's not my primary thing. It's just a part of everything. My teacher used to say it's all yoga, and I finally get that now because there is a lot more to it than just the stretchy stretch. Which is nice. The mind, body, spirit is very important.
Deepak Chopra says that too, is it's all
Mhm.
yoga.
It's all yoga. And from that, as with any good thing that I do, I started teaching music when I was 16. I started running restaurants, in my mid late 20s. Started teaching people how to run restaurants. Any good student does become the teacher, and anything I love, I want to teach back. I was using this example recently. You're a kid and you find this really cool rock. And you're like, "Hey, Jimmy, I found this cool rock. Well, I'm going to go show you where it's at. You can find a cool one too, because I love this rock and you're probably going to like one too." That's the same spirit that I have with things that have helped me heal, things that
Mm.
have helped me open my mind. I want to share it with my buddies. I want to share it with the world. So a good friend is like, "Hey, you should do this for other people." And I was like, I should do this for other people, because I want to help people, but I didn't want to go that traditional route. I didn't want to be like a peer coach or a psychologist. Like I didn't want to go traditional because I've never been traditional. And I knew all the benefits that psychedelics had provided me in my spiritual path throughout those years. But I knew that there was so much more after that. But I also knew there's a safe way to do it because there's a way that you can do these medicines where it can cause damage. It can cause psychological damage, physical damage. Are we taking contraindicating medications? Are we sleeping well? Are we doing something in conjunction with? Is there some work that we're doing? It's not just like I'm going to take this thing and all of a sudden have this experience and be done and I'm good for it. No, it's we say in our field 90% of the work starts after ceremony. It's not on the medicine. And the idea that, as Alan Watts says, the phone rings, you pick up the phone, you get the message, you hang up the phone. Something where you become the medicine, you become, the guru. And then of course, I started to develop my own ceremony that came from within. There wasn't a lot still. There's not a whole lot that I could like cheat off of. It was hard for me to find like DMT ceremony and what does that look like on the internet. It was very difficult. So I kind of had to intuitively develop that, and that came from breath work and yoga nidra and meditation and mindfulness techniques and breathing techniques that really and journaling too, being able to remember everything. Like, how do we remember this crazy experience? Imagine trying to see Rome all in one day. That's kind of like DMT. It's going to be very difficult. And then I found the church. I was very cautious of who I was going to be a practitioner with, and I didn't want to be in the black. I didn't even want to be in the gray. I wanted to do this all out in the light. Prop 122 was passed in the state of Colorado, which allowed extraction of DMT, growing mushrooms for personal use and to gift to others. But what does that look like? I wanted to take this further than just myself. So I knew there was Edenology and Ahava Gardens in the neighborhood, and I kind of stalked them a little bit through social media for a while, but I was in no hurry. I didn't want to force anything. I was, you learn in Eastern practice when you stop grasping for things, they just whatever is needed, it comes about. So it was just a natural progression. I met one of the co-founders and just had a wonderful conversation with her in the park one day. And then I met my now fiance, who runs the.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she opened Edenology because she does come from a conservative Christian background, and ayahuasca opened her up to sobriety for one, and then ayahuasca opened her up into starting a wellness center and a church because we find that there's so many people out there that have these traumas from religion and things. So I was real cautious with the church. I needed to make sure that it wasn't some person saying, "Hey, believe me, and this is it." We're the kind of anti-church. We accept all paths. We have all faiths. I look at it as it's all fruit. It's just some people might like a cherry today, and I'll have a banana instead. And who knows, tomorrow I'll have the cherry.
So I know the answer to this, I think, but you started to talk about who are the people that you find yourself helping. Who are you serving?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I can ramble.
No, you're fine.
So you would think, or at least I had this notion because it's what my history was. It was going to be dudes like me, kind of open-minded, hippie type of guys, and gals. But it's been furthest from the truth. I'd say it is the full gamut. I work with former military. I work with middle-aged women. That's a big one, actually. I work with a lot. I'd say a good 40-50% chunk are middle-aged white women, which is kind of wild. I work with engineers. I work with entrepreneurs. I have people who come in from all over. I had a gentleman come in from Atlanta recently just to come see me. I work with paramedics, firefighters, former law enforcement, which I never would have. That's kind of cool, though. I never would have thought. And I go, you know what? All communities need healing. Like I try not to have that
Well,
stigma.
let me ask you, does this have anything to help with PTSD or
Yes, yes,
okay,
yeah,
well then
yeah,
you're gonna get a lot of cops.
yeah, yeah.
Or at least
So
it could help a lot of cops, I should
yeah,
say.
yeah. So
It should. It should. Can I just throw this plug out there that there may be a lot of cops that have a stigma about this, or they hold a stigma about this kind of medicine.
mhm.
And I did for a long time.
Yeah,
From a life
I
of,
yeah,
propaganda.
yeah,
sure, yeah. So growing up in the very strict fundamentalist Baptist church, and then going into law enforcement, and growing up and living in the Bible Belt, I had a lot of perception of people that use psychedelics and why somebody would want to use psychedelics and blah blah blah. And so any of our listeners that are still in that place, I would say take my word for it. If not, if you don't take Benny's word for it, take my word for it. That there's a lot more to it than what you may think, and there's a lot of value to it.
yeah. You nailed it. And this is really where this has evolved to for me. I'm an educator first and foremost, and an educator not because I read books. Yeah, it helps that I've read all the books and I've been on all the channels for many many years. But it's always been viewed as just this kind of like weird hippie drug thing,
Hmm.
that, they're the hippies over there, getting high, which granted, yeah, absolutely it is. But, and it's really can be used in a way that you can go in so deep that you can pull out your bullshit
Uh,
and you can see it for what it is without true judgment. And I'll speak to this on a broad term of plant medicine. Some work a little different than others, but you're able to, you have patterns and things like that, but it really helps you go deep, 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 deep in, where perhaps talk therapy can't do,
Right.
perhaps even meditation, all of it. This kind of forces it up. And sometimes it's not pretty. Most of the time, it is challenging. And we invite challenging experiences because once we are able to see those and get through those challenging experiences and work with that, our nervous system remembers that. So when we are faced with these challenging experiences moving forward, we have a little bit more understanding, and a little bit we have skills that we maybe could never have attained, or it would have taken a very, very long time and be stuck in some kind of talk therapy loop, you know. And the idea that this is not because Benny says this is how to fix it. No, you are the guru. You have the answers. You just have to know the questions.
I sent you a message the other day, and I don't know if I remember if I followed up with it or not. Um, but I had sent you a message saying that I had a experience or a can't remember what it was that I didn't have a framework for anymore. There back before when I was evangelical, I at least would have said, "Oh, this was the Holy Spirit, or this was this, or this was that." And you made the comment about that we don't something about not not wanting a framework or not needing a framework, essentially not needing labels.
Hmm.
And it kind of makes me think, I wonder, I wonder if one of the benefits is that remove like we have to have a frame for everything because we just don't do well as humans. We just don't do well, at least in the West, with not having a face or not having a box or not having a an object or a name or something like that. But this medicine removes all of that. And it forces you to say, I don't know what this is. And I wonder, I've talked to people like, is the healing from the medicine? Is it from the meditation? Is it from the breath work? Is it from talking to you? Maybe it's all medicine. And maybe the whole experience is the medicine.
Yeah.
And it seems it kind of struck me that how silly is it to think that we're going to take this transcendent, unknowable, unnameable, ununderstandable thing and put a frame around it and say, oh, well, it belongs here or it belongs over here. This goes on this shelf or this goes in this box. How absurd is it to think that you would be able to take something as incredible as whatever God, whatever spirituality, whatever that is, to say, yeah, I understand it, and this is what it is. It's silly to me to think that I would even want to put framework on it. You know what I mean? Because it's so much bigger than any frame that I could come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really makes me think of like an ant. Yeah, I mean, like it's not even an ant trying to describe a human. It's like an ant trying to describe the stars. Like we're so far out of reference. If you are brought from an ant up to the stars, like you're not gonna have the words. You're gonna say
Yeah.
there was a great bearded man with a, and there was a snake and an apple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And in our circles, a lot of these experiences, we call them unenglishable.
Mm.
Especially certain medicines. Bufo is a big one. 5-MeO DMT. Bufo is derived from the Sonoran Desert toad. It's something that we work with, and that's one where it's a psychedelic, but it's not. It's very different than DMT, but it's also very similar. But it provides us with. I'll put it basically. Um, you go into a realm of you remembering something you forgot you had forgotten, and that
Mm.
remembrance was who you were before you were born. Like what?
Okay.
How do you, and it's this understanding, and it's on a lot of these medicines too, where it's this like it's all of a sudden you have the sixth sense that you never knew you had, this understanding, this knowing of this doesn't, and the bullshit and your trauma and your addictions and all of it just doesn't matter in the big scope. If we're looking, you know, at this being an eternal life,
Hmm.
an eternal being, which I hope. I hope we are. I think maybe we have to continue on this planet many times over, but it's it's something that is the essence of remembrance, of remembering something that is before all this. I mean, like, and that's kind of, you know, and I'm not super woo woo. Of course, I run a wellness center. I'm a little woo woo, but it's like how do you how do you even describe that to someone? And that's the best language I can give it. And then that's how a lot of these medicines are. They're just unenglishable. But that's why I do what I do, to have these open and honest conversations, to have these monthly mixers that we have. We have a weekly meeting on Zoom every Wednesday. People Zoom in from all over the country, even sometimes out of the country, which is cool. We have a monthly mixer where people can just come together and have these conversations, because there's not a whole lot of framework for this, because this stuff's been pushed down for so long. So let's talk about it. Let's have those weird conversations, but also be able to have a community that you can have that in. So when you do go to those other communities, or that guy at the water cooler, or the neighbor that you wouldn't talk about this with, so you can have a framework to talk about these things. Because too often you say, oh, that was a weird trip, and then you go on about your life. Rather, we can integrate those experiences, and we can talk about them. We can hear from other people and go, that was what I was trying to, I didn't have words for that, and holy cow, he just said that. And that's what the most important part of what we're doing as a church now. Starting in January, we are doing facilitator certification with Moon Boots and Ahava Gardens, where we're bringing more ministers on who can utilize our knowledge and our experience and be certified through us and be a minister with us, so they can minister in other states and other parts of the community and other parts of the world. Because not everybody's going to identify with me. They might identify with somebody who is a former law enforcement, or somebody who's LGBTQ, or what have you. But it's giving people the words to be able to have these discussions, because this has been just kind of this, again, weird kind of counterculture hippie drug thing for so long, but it's furthest from the truth.
What are the things, what are the tools that you guys have? I guess, yeah, like what are the different things, or maybe even types of things, if that's a better question, and what are they used for? Like I imagine bofa is not like DMT, which is not like psilocybin mushrooms. What are the things that you have, and what are they for? Like how are they unique to help?
Yeah. So first and foremost, you come to our center. A lot of people don't, we don't super promote the church.
Yeah.
We want it to be more organic. We're not like popping up Facebook ads and things like that. But somebody will come into the wellness center. And we work with a lot of sober groups as well too. So a lot of people who are in recovery, and they come in and they're wrecked. They are on pharmaceuticals. They are in this, bad relationship, whatever you have, and they're wrecked, and they're like, I don't even know where to begin. So a lot of times we begin with basic things. Andre is a nutritionist. Okay, what do you eat? What's your diet look like? How are you sleeping? What kind of pharmaceuticals are you on? We're not doctors by any means, but we know a little bit more than the average bear. So, how can we prepare someone to be able to set with a different modality, whether it's starting with getting you a good massage, putting you in our lymphatic drain system? That's a wonderful healing pod. To attending a yoga class, coming to one of our recovery Dharma meetings. We have recovery Dharma meetings 5 nights a week in our salt cave, because we also have a salt cave, which is great for all kinds of lung benefits, skin benefits, and good for meditation. But where can we direct you so we can start to open you up to this medicine? 9 times out of 10, somebody comes into our place and they go, I want to do ayahuasca with you tomorrow. And we're like, no, we're going to you need at least a month so we can start to prepare. So then we can have a consultation of sorts. A lot of times, thankfully there is a lot more information out there. We see, I love it when my parents send me something from CNN or a major media station that's veterans retreat in Mexico working with ibogaine or psilocybin. They're like, that's what
That's
you do. And I'm just like, yes, it is what I do. But we get to do it, of course, under the protections of the Religious Freedoms Act, which is wonderful. Um, so we not only have the benefit of the state being open, but also we are protected, and we do it all out in the light. We follow all the P's and Q's, and that's the really cool thing is I'm not scared. I'm not afraid for my safety, and I know this is all being done in the right way. So someone comes in and say they are directed towards we kind of engage, what's your experience? Oh, well, I've worked with some cannabis, or I maybe have done microdosing psilocybin. I'm working through this, that, or the other thing. A lot of times we like to introduce people to perhaps a microdose protocol with psilocybin, because that works on your 5-HT2A receptor, and most of these psychedelics do, and among other ones. But that also really helps with your neurogenesis. It creates a more plastic brain. Anytime you use one of these medicines, for the most part, ibogaine will just kind of leave out because that has a longer efficacy, which is amazing for people with opioid addictions right now. Like if you've got some major opioid addictions, ibogaine is it. We do not serve ibogaine. That needs a whole medical staff. That is something that may be down the road, but for now, I'll just point people in those directions. But where are you at with your journey? Perhaps maybe we start with a microdose protocol so we can start to get your brain a little bit more plastic, and maybe not have some big. We don't really use the word trip in our industry. Currently, we like to say journey. Whatever. You won't hear me call them drugs very often either. But you know what direction can we go so you can safely enter into those waters without saying, I'm going to jump off this high dive and I don't know, I can't even, the water's black, I don't even know what's in there. So what are some ways we can open that up? So for one, health services, Reiki healing, energy clearing, tarot decks, getting you in the healing pod, getting you in a yoga class, getting you in a meditation group. And then we can say, okay, well, we're wanting to shift you. So let's do a 3-month protocol with psilocybin to where you can have that interaction. We have, where you come in, you do a salt session, we have a chat, we see how things are going, to start to open you up. But usually most people are like, okay, I want to go a little bit deeper. So the spirit of Moon Boots is I kept hearing these same stories when I would talk to people about DMT when I started my company. And it would be, oh my gosh, that was too much. I was and I say, well, tell me about the experience. They go, oh, I was at my buddy's house and he had some and he sprinkled some on a bowl. And I'm just like, oh, some on a bowl. What does that mean? Because it's a very potent medicine. And then they go, well, yeah, we kicked back a few beers earlier. And then me and my girlfriend got in a fight that morning. And then there was some, I don't know, heavy metal on the radio, nothing against metal, but maybe some, so I kept hearing dosage, set, and setting.
uh-huh.
Dosage, set, and setting. And people would have these terrifying experiences, these experiences that, could dissuade people from working with these medicines. Same thing with ayahuasca. You're vomiting. A good portion of the time, you're going northern and southern purge. To a lot of people, it's like, oh, who wants to do that? That sounds weird and dangerous. But I noticed that we could introduce these things with more therapeutic doses starting off with. We're not going to send you out the plane with your parachute when you've never even learned how to pack it, so how can we, with the proper dosage, making sure you're not on any contraindicating medications, making sure you're doing some type of work, you're getting your healing in some form or fashion. And if you don't have any form and fashion, we have a billion different directions we can point you towards, not just like, oh, Andrea really likes Christ and Benny really likes Buddha. No, let's find out what you're vibing with and say, oh, we have somebody who's, maybe an expert in that, or here's this book we recommend. Um,
So it sounds like this is all really super tailor made. Who's doing the evaluation? Like if I walk into your store, who meets me and who's figuring out what I need?
Yeah, so great question. So there's three of us who serve medicine currently, and we have I think five people who will be in our next training, and then
I'm
I'll have a
interested in
training in
becoming a
February.
minister
So
now.
so it's growing. Um, so there's three of us currently, myself, Andrea, and Kiana, and they're my partners, and Andrea is my partner too, and Kiana's like our she's like my sister and almost like Andrea. It's her best friend's child, so she's been mentoring her since she was a
Oh,
little baby. Um, so you come in and say you're interested in mycology, in psilocybin. The three of us are very well versed in that. So you could set up a consultation. We say they're 30 minutes, but furthest from the truth. We work at a lot of issues in this field. It's not like, well, your time is up, your healing's done, see you later. So you have about an hour consultation with us so we can have these discussions of we want to make sure for one you're safe. Are you on any kinds of medications that can contraindicate and cause damage or mute the experience completely? I know Justin shared with me his story. I don't know if that's something that you've shared on here of the. I think that was you. You didn't you some of your own once, and
I had tried some and had zero effect. Come to find out that it was the medicine I was taking was literally that's its job was to keep me from having an experience.
yeah. So those are the discussions we have, and
that explains a lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it does.
And that's the thing is a lot of people are just simply not educated. And the thing is we are here more as like travel agents.
Uh-huh.
We're not necessarily going on this journey with you, but we're here to provide you with the tools and the map of sorts and to remove any obstacles so you can surrender more fully to these medicines and not have unnecessary challenging experiences. Having challenging experiences is by far the best things that I've
That's
ever.
life, baby.
That's the stuff where when I have a challenging experience in real life, not that I go back to that like challenging journey I had, but like my nervous system is like, oh, we got this. It's when I became a meditator and just noticed this calm when the guy wouldn't go at the green light, I'd just be like, oh, maybe he's suffering. I don't know. But so the three of us can do a consultation for that. After January, I could do a consult for Bufo, which is also known as 5-MeO DMT. Andrea is the one who is the practitioner of that. She did a training course with another organization many years ago. Same thing with ayahuasca. There's lineages and there's trainings that you can do. There's certifications and things like that. But they've gone down to Peru, and worked with the tribes. We work with combo peptide therapy, which is not a psychedelic, but it's a frog excretion from the Philomedusa bicolor tree frog, which is this cute little guy that provides neuro and biopeptides. Peptides are all the rage right now, except we provide it and we actually sat this weekend where we burn a small hole in your skin and apply the frog excretion, and you have this flushing and this purging, and but essentially most of us there between the three of us can have these consultations. I'm more proficient with DMT. Andre's more proficient with Bufo. We all three are proficient with ayahuasca and psilocybin, and it's really a big part about that too is making sure that you vibe with us,
Hmm.
and that not that we vibe with, or maybe the other way around, excuse me, that you feel comfortable there, that you can tell that that you're going to I've got a kitty cat trying to trying to butt in. That you feel safe, because the thing with these medicines is if you can't surrender, you will be blocked off. You can take some medicine and it can be um, I'm not going to say a bad time, but just it's not going to work if you're so blocked up. So you got to know, like, is this safe? Is this legal? is somebody going to come walking in this room? What kind of things do we do to prepare that space too? I don't call me a shaman, don't call me a guru or anything like that, but I do follow certain shamanic practices, certain Reiki practices, certain Eastern practices that, I've been called to be able to clear my own energy, to be able to clear that space. I have an altar that represents the elements of fire, water, air, earth, and ether. I work through pranayama, breath work, so we can remove those stale energies. The yogis have been right for years. You can remove a lot of bullshit just through the breath. So not that I'm covering all bases, but I like to cover all the bases and also make sure that I'm in a good spot. I'm not just going to roll in and be like, all right, let's do your ceremony. No, like there's preparation. I'm even abstaining from my murder podcast that I love. So, like my last podcast on the left, which is not something I listen to on ceremony days.
That's
So
good.
really, we not only want to educate and prepare and make sure that they feel comfortable that, hey, am I going to get in trouble? That's a big one. Because we do have this cultural fear of, oh no, like these are drugs and drugs are bad and I'm going to get in trouble, and luckily we work in a state where it's looser, and then also we're a church, so
You
I
have
I
that
challenge
backup.
someone to mess with that, because that's not going to look good. Our lawyer loves suing people.
One of the things that I appreciate is when I had my session and we were talking about it afterwards, we were kind of debriefing. You made the statement that it was very important to you that you didn't interpret my experience.
Mhm.
You guided me and you helped me maybe interpret my own experience, but you
Yeah,
didn't want to lay on me anything that you had. You
yeah,
wanted to help me figure out what it meant,
yeah,
and I appreciate that, and I thought that that was really cool. That that were there to guide me, and also that you were open to the fact that my experience is my own, and you guys uh, use a term being called to this or called to that, and I just appreciated the fact that you recognized and just allowed me to interpret what am I being called to.
yeah,
It wasn't a prescription. Oh, this is what this means.
yeah,
Sounds like maybe you're being called to this.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. And that's the essence of what we are. We're um the Buddha said, beware of the guru, beware of me. You are the guru. you know and that's where these types of things have gotten so bad, because there are these cults where people are taken advantage of. There is some bad apples out there in these types of industries, when it comes to inappropriate touching, or putting a godhead on things. It's something that we are here again. We're travel agents. Like, I know that's kind of silly, but that's really, we're here. So we're not necessarily going on the journey, but we're going to provide you with the map. Or I always say, if you're going to go to Brazil, you're not just going to hop on a flight to Brazil. You might, but you're at least going to get a book on Portuguese and maybe look at some of the cultures and customs. So maybe since I've been to Brazil or on a DMT journey, I might have some insight and some input, but it is not the guy up on the thing saying, hey, this is what I experienced and this is what you experienced. That is we are quite the anti that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want my travel agent to say, hey, while you're in Australia, you might see a koala bear or you might see a great white. Just know to stay in the boat. Like that's what I
Yeah.
want my travel agent to tell me.
Yeah, I do a talk called A Day at the Beach, where
Uh-huh.
I compare, figuring out what kind of plant medicine you want to work with, what's the beach look like, what's your internal weather, and I say, when we go underwater, when we're on the medicine, we hold our intentions loosely in these places. So if you're like, I have to see a starfish, and if I don't see a starfish, I'm going to be pissed. And it's like, no, you might see a starfish, but you might see a shark too.
Yeah,
And then you have to come up for air because we don't live down there. And that's the other part of this.
that's a good lesson.
What is safe and ethical use? Like what people ask me a lot, well, how often should I work with these things and things like that? There's certain points where you can develop psychosis, especially if you have underlying schizophrenia, prolonged years of meth use. That's one that we see a lot of times, where if you've
Justin,
many
just kidding.
years on something like that, it can really, yeah. I'm glad, there were a couple good things that I learned as a kid: no opiates and no meth. So I was good on that. But like what does that look like? So that's something we help you navigate too, because there is no black and white answer to medicine work, because it is a practice. Now, if you come and have an experience with medicine and you do one time and they're like, oh, I'm good. I got it. I got everything I need. Awesome. That is amazing if that happens for you. Most of the time you have to develop a practice. And then eventually you become the medicine. You think a leader of a church of psychedelics would just be, setting with medicine all of the time, and it's furthest from the truth, because I'm able to set with such intentionality, and I also receive the benefits of the medicine on the other side, because I do. It's a wonderful side effect of doing this work. I receive so much healing from the healing of others. It's awesome, to where I was like, Benny, it's interesting. You haven't sat with your own medicine in months. It's been 6, 9 months. Like, what's going on here? And it's because when I do set with it, I'm able to receive so much benefit. And Ram Dass, speaking back to him, he loves LSD primarily, and when he became this yogi, and realized that LSD was not the battering ram. Yes, it's a part, but it's not that battering ram to opening your door of alignment. You need other things. there's
Mhm.
there's many parts to opening up to your alignment with source. But he would revisit LSD, once or twice a year, and he was just like, I would still like learn something, but it was just kind of like stuff I already knew. It was
Yeah,
less and less. And his guru Maharashi, if you know
he's
the
growly,
story,
Bobby.
yeah, if you know the story of them giving him, I think it was like 600 micrograms, which
Yeah,
is a lot of LSD, especially the stuff made by, the sound engineer of the Grateful Dead back then, Stanley Owsley, because that's where all that came from. Um, and it did nothing. He's like Ram Dass, and I love when I hear Ram Dass describe his voice. He goes, Ram Dass, your Western medicine I don't need. I'm already over there.
yeah.
you know. So it's really interesting where I've sat with 3 sacred medicines this last year. Um, I'm going to have to sit in July or in January because I'm in training. So I have to sit.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, shucks.
I'll be training with Bufo. So, that's something where we do peer to peer. We not only have your book and your presentation and the classwork and the quizzes and the journaling, but we also do the peer to peer work, which is really, I think, a big part of it, because anybody can get certified for anything, right? But, where do you really learn? You actually go out and you swing the hammer.
Oh, go
Okay.
ahead.
Well, I just want to throw out there. I don't know if we mentioned this is our Christmas episode, so
Yeah.
this will be dropping on Christmas Day. Clayton, what else you got, brother?
I'm sorry if I interrupted you. I didn't want to throw you off.
Oh no,
Uh,
you're good.
I was just gonna say, I think I can do about 20 more minutes. I had about 20 more minutes planned on the clock.
Okay,
But
sweet.
my first question is, and we can go for as long as you want, Benny. It sounds like you're the one that might be busy. We don't want to hold you up. But my next question is, it's for me and for the world, is what is there for couples there? Like if a couple wants to walk in, what would be a good thing to do in at
Yeah.
Ahava Gardens with my wife?
So, for instance, last night, This weekend we had our ayahuasca ceremony. So that's something that we do have to plan for. Our next one is in March. We do those quarterly because we do travel to other states to do this work. So we try to leave that open, give us some spaciousness during the year. But we had two separate couples last night in our ayahuasca space. I'll do couples or groups with all of our medicines. Honestly, it's really, I've worked with many different either large groups, or couples and things like that, where it's really nice for someone to hold space. And you hear a lot of like we're holding space in our field, and that's just where again they're a bit like me, they're there to just send that love and their prayer and whatever to that person. And then say if you say we'll use DMT for example, one person will go under the medicine, and then they will be there to greet that their partner back, and then the other person will work with the medicine, and then we can have that collective immediate integration, because it's so important to because a lot of these journeys it's unenglishable. Like I said, it's like waking up from a dream. It's like I don't have words for this, and then it starts to fade, and then you forgot you even had a dream. So it's important to have that immediate integration, and I think it's so wonderful for couples because I see a lot of times where, and this happens quite a bit, where say the husband or the wife says, you know what came through for me, I've been neglecting you in this certain way. There's something here that I want to address right now, because this is what came up for me. And it's a state of like a vulnerability that they both can share, where they're not like I think is judged, because it's
Mm.
truly what has come up for them. It's something that is deep within. So I see a lot of times for couples that they're able to um find kind of cut some of their bullshit. To be perfectly honest, they're able to really be that observer again. And a lot of times, you have that loved one there with you, so the focus of the medicine a lot of times will be on that other person. Or it could be a wholly different thing. We always say hold your expectations loosely.
Yeah.
And so that's something we can do really with any medicine that we work with.
Can you show we are about to wrap up, but before we get out of here, can you and there might be some stuff after this too. I don't know. Can you show me and Justin how to do some breath work and show the world how to do some breath work here? And I can
Yes.
cut it out if you say no, by the way.
No,
I
no, yeah.
didn't plan this.
You're
I
totally
didn't ask you
fine.
before.
So I think sometimes people hear pranayama or breath work, and they're thinking it's going to be this like this big, hard, crazy thing. But basically, it's intentional breathing. I
Hmm.
mean, it's very basic. I mean, you have box breathing,
Hmm.
which is breathing in for 4, holding for 4, breathing out for 4, holding for 4. But really, what I find is when you can breathe, like a lot of people don't breathe properly. Like, how often do we actually like? How often do you do that?
Oh man, not enough. Not
No.
nearly enough.
So really, breathing in deep down into your diaphragm to where your belly expands. So we call this Durga Pranayama.
Mm.
And this is where you have an easy pose, where you're sitting perhaps crisscrossed or on a bolster. You can have your eyes closed. You could have your gaze, just a little out of focus in front of you, and breathing in through your nose with an erect spine as well. Breathing in through your nose deep down into your belly, feeling the belly expand and feeling that fullness of the inhalation, and perhaps holding that for 4, 3, 2, 1, and an exhale, feeling that surrender, feeling that softness in the belly, and then pausing at the bottom of your breath. And in for 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause for 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And pause for 4, 3, 2, 1. Basic. I mean, is that really that tough? You know, um, I used to do a thing called, it started with a bracelet. I had a bracelet that had the Buddha on it, and it was a milestone in my recovery. And it used to get loose all the time. And I'd be like, oh, bracelet's loose. This is annoying. Oh, bracelet's loose. Oh, this is annoying. Then I was like, maybe every time I tie that bracelet, I can stop everything I'm doing and take 3 deep intentional breaths.
Mm.
Because I was having issues after getting sober, sleeping, anger. I was facing everything for the first time in 25 years. Just taking that intentional time. And how often do we really, I mean, and it can be 2 minutes, and then it could be 5, and then it could be 10, and, the breath is what guides us. The breath is, I mean, the breath is everything.
So
And just taking that intentionality. And again, you can get into Kriya yoga, which is like breath work on steroids, where you're like moving your arms and doing all this stuff. You could get into standing deep breathing, where you do these different arm things, but really intentional breathing. Start with the box breathing. Start with just bringing it down into your belly and expanding the chest, and then feeling it soften. A lot of times you can start with your hand on your heart and your other hand on your belly and just feeling your breath. But it doesn't have to be this big like thing. Start small.
the first time I ever saw someone do that, I seen them put their hand on the front and on the back, and it was when I
Yeah.
watched someone do the Ram Dass mantra that or the Guru mantra, Guru Guru Wahe Guru Guru Ram Dass Guru,
hmm
and it was the first time I ever seen someone do that with their hand on the front and the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Benny, you've been such a joy, such a pleasant uh, treat for us. I mean, Merry Christmas. Happy birthday, Jesus. Benny
Yeah.
Horton is
Yeah.
in the house.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, Benny, but you just exude love. Like
Yeah,
you can,
definitely.
so our listeners won't be able to see it. Um, but like just on your face, and even more so in person, like just being around you, you give off love. You you're a good person to be around. I personally recommend anybody that is hearing this podcast, I think they should check you out. Where could they go to do that?
So you can find our wellness center at edenologyco.com. So that's Edenology CO for Colorado. Or you can find us at ahavagardens.org. And of
And
course, we're on
spell
all the
that.
socials. So you can find us on, I'm supposed to start our TikTok in January.
Okay,
And we're supposed to
we'll
start our
follow you.
podcast soon too. So
Oh,
I might have
sweet,
to bug you guys about some things.
sweet, yeah.
Of
We
course,
are
on,
we are
on
here for the ride for that.
Facebook, Instagram, we stay very up to date. We also have a Facebook group called Entheogenics Colorado. And that's a wonderful resource where we post things, we have conversations, and I'm really trying to build that one up. I've got a few hundred so far, but it's growing, and just talking about all the different things. And but yeah, you can follow all that. You can get on our weekly email list for Edenology, where we send out an email every Monday, where we talk about the events going on at the center. We do full moon events where we work with sound bowls and yoga and cacao, which is another ceremony in itself. If you like chocolate, that's a great one. It's not psychedelic chocolate, but we do new moon events where we do devotional call and response, kirtan, bhakti yoga, and then we also have a wonderful like soup that we make, and we give you the recipe card, and it's just a wonderful place to have a community that might not be the traditional sense, but yeah, you can find us on all the socials, and those 2 websites.
We're going to have links to all of your
Yep.
socials and every website in the description of this video. The links are usually hyperlinked on YouTube, but in Facebook, you can just copy and paste it from the description. I get
Yeah.
sometimes they're like, the links don't work. Well, just copy and paste it.
Yeah. Oh,
Figure
we
it
have
out.
to go old school. We used to have to write stuff down.
Well, again, thank you so much, Benny, for being on. Thanks for what you do. Thanks for sharing your story with us, and hopefully, more and more people will check you out, and more people will get the help they need.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on here. And thank you for that beautiful compliment. I just I think loving yourself, actually loving yourself, and even the dark parts,
Mm,
even the crap, um, really can allow you to be the change you wish to see in the world.
amen.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, on that note, you guys check out Ahava Gardens, check out edenologyco.com. All the links are going to be in the description. All the stuff is going to be everywhere. Make sure to like, heart, share this podcast. This one, it's I mean, it's a reason it was the Christmas episode because this gift isn't necessarily just for you, listener. This can be one that you share with someone else because maybe someone else wants to hear the awesome story and gain the knowledge, but maybe someone else also needs to get these resources. Maybe someone else needs to know that there's these resources out there. They're not just struggling around. So for Christmas, y'all, share this. This is your gift for your friend, for your loved one. All right?
Do it for Jesus
Do it for Jesus.
on His
We
Do it
birthday.
for Jesus.
Do it for Jesus. Y'all, we love you. We are gonna have a New Year's episode, I believe, with Justin. If not, I can cut this out. But we're gonna have a New Year's episode with Justin. But 2025 was so kick-ass, and I'm so happy to wrap it up the way that we're doing. If you guys have anything else?
No, sir.
All right, I love you
All
all.
right.
Stay safe. Bye-bye.
All right. See ya.
Thank you.